So this is our final week to prepare these first units. The students are almost done. Originally they were supposed to go out last week, but luckily we had a little bit of extra time because we needed it. So we have time to button everything up, really well polish everything. We got Stacy back here working on our corrugated steel. I think we got 4 out of our 5 units that are pretty much done with this corrugated. So they stack nicely on top of the ripples. It's not too difficult. The difficult part is cutting them around our breaker box for our GFI units and any HVAC, anything we got sticking outside of the house, because those measurements got to be precise. We don't want too big of a gap because we do have to caulk them. So we want to keep that gap as close as possible. Also, a thing to keep in mind while working with corrugated, you want to have your gloves on like Stacy and Jaime here, because this stuff's really sharp and it's fairly heavy. So if you're holding it up and it slips from your hands, that's all it takes to give you one nice cut into your hand there. So we're practicing safety. We got our appropriate PPE on.
Now, it's safe to say that accidents will happen, but it's about minimizing the accidents, correct?
Exactly. So we definitely want to practice our safety. It's #1 priority. So these 2 houses are a little bit further along. They got the outside painted, they got the corrugated on. Sam here is working on this house over here.
I'll put a hole in the wall.
We'll check it out right now. Apparently we got a hole we might have to patch up. No worries, it happens. So on this house they finished the flooring. These guys, I believe, are the furthest along. They got their baseboard going in. Looks like they already got their door casing in. We painted the door, but we had some excess here. See where it starts to pull up? So we gotta sand that down and then give that a quick touch up. Make sure it looks nice and pretty.
And again, pretty for the consumer, right? Because a lot of times judgment is all in the cosmetics sometimes.
Yes, sir. So, like I've mentioned before, we don't want to cut corners. These are all going to be bought. I know if I'm buying a house, I want it to be as perfect as possible. I want it to be square, be level, and not have any issues. And I don't think that's the standard. We can't go any lower than that. So. Nothing less than perfect. So this is Darius here. He's part of the 8 a.m. class. He's one of Austin's students. They're working on the breaker box. They got the flooring done, the baseboard done. So Darius is working on the breaker box here, making sure everything's wired up correctly. He's taking his time. He's making sure that these wires are cut to length. They're not too long, but he's also making sure that they're not cut too short so we don't mess up the wiring or have to use a new wire or a jumper. When you open up your panel box, you want everything to look neat. If it's all jumbled, scrounged together, or really messy, it's just not professional. And it might make your task a lot more harder tracing the wires, making sure you got the correct one for the correct, I'm blanking on it, circuit. So making sure you got the correct circuit there. So we take the time now, make sure everything's nice and neat, then it makes it easier for us later on if we ever need to replace anything. Also, you want everything just to look as well presented as possible. So these guys don't have too much work to do inside here. They got their flooring in, the walls are painted, the ceiling's painted. They got their lights wired and ready to be powered up there. So baseboard's one of the last things on the inside. They got their outlets in already. Sometimes, we might have to take things apart and rework them just to make sure everything looks, perfect. So it's one of those learning experience. Sam took off the baseboard. He's cutting off the staples so we can try again, nail it back onto the wall. So anytime we notice a mistake, we'll definitely take it apart, we'll pull it apart, we'll fix it. Sometimes it gets annoying, but again, we want nothing less than perfect.